Social Fortress broke her maiden easily first time out back in 2024 at Delaware Park. Then she turned around and won the sorority stakes at Monmouth Park. Last week, she won again at Delaware, and she might be headed back in the stakes company. Social Fortress's trainer, Greg Sacco, and Greg's assistant and son, Will Sacco, going to join us momentarily here on Midlantic Racing Today. This is Midlantic Racing Today, powered by the Racing Biz, the racingbiz.com. My name is Frank Vespe, and today's episode of Midlantic Racing Today, Delaware Park Today, is presented by Delaware Park Racetrack and Casino. Down the road a piece going to be joined by Stan Salter here, and we'll do a little recap and look ahead, see what's going on at Delaware Park. But up right now are going to be Greg and Will Sacco. But before we get to them, please do like and subscribe. We appreciate that very much. You can subscribe or follow us anywhere you get your podcasts. Look for Midlantic Racing Today. You can find that on Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. You can subscribe to Midlantic Racing Today. Without further ado, here are Greg and Will Sacco. All right, Greg, Will, happy to have you guys. Appreciate you joining me today on Midlantic Racing Today. And I'm going to start you in this direction, which probably isn't the one you're expecting. Now, a few years ago, I talked to my father-in-law about taking over his business, and we sat for about 2 hours talking about it. And I walked out of there and I said to my wife, if he and I work together, one of us will be in jail for murder. So my question to you guys is, your father and son, how do you make this work?
Well, I tell you, we do butt heads on certain things, but Will is a big asset. He's willing to learn from the ground up. He's been a great support with our group of guys that work for us. He leads the ship. He's great with pedigree and at the sales. So in that aspect, he's been terrific. We butt heads on something. He has a young mind and he wants to try this, try that. And a lot of times he's right. Sometimes he's wrong, but it's not easy working with your dad. I expect him to be a perfectionist, which he is striving to be. He has to lead the ship in the morning every day with the guys and the sets of the horses. So, it's been a big asset to myself and the barn, and I don't know how do you feel about it, Will?
No, it's great. My grandfather. So my dad was in my shoes at one point, working for my grandfather. So it's a lot of pride and what we do to keep his tradition and passion going. To think that I'll be starting a career, whenever I do, that my grandfather started, and his love and passed it down to my dad for the sport and the horses. So it's unique to share it, and sometimes we have long car rides where we don't talk to each other. And then there's car rides or days where we're just like everything worked out, what we talked about before the race. Maybe it was a strategy of, look, there's maybe no speed in the race, let's take advantage and go to the lead, or maybe there's speed and we're going to come off. So it's every day it's ups and downs. Sometimes you got to deal with the some negative stuff that goes on. Maybe a horse gets hurt or a horse doesn't perform the way you expected it to. But to be able to do it with my dad, it's great.
Was there ever any, was this what you wanted from the beginning, Will? Was it just like, I want to carry on the family tradition in horse racing?
Growing up, I always loved going to the races with my dad in the afternoon. I never really was involved in the morning work. In the summertime, obviously without school, I would go on a Saturday or Sunday. Like my dad would say, we're breezing a couple babies, and that always, I loved watching the 2-year-olds breeze. Leading up to their first races. You're always excited about which 2-year-old could be, a stake horse or, a good horse for the barn. And then I went to University of Kentucky, and I was sitting in the dorm, and I wanted to, in my head, I wanted to just start working with my dad. So I went home, and that was it. So it's been 8 years in November of just starting from halt walking to grooming the pony, and then taking care of a few claiming horses, learning, how to treat the horses with some ankles and knees, and just maybe a hind end that's not great. Just starting from there, and then been the assistant for about the last 3-4 years. I had last two winters. I had strings of my own in New York, and that was a good experience. How to deal with things when my dad wasn't there. To kind of rely on. But even though I would call him up if something happened, but it's been a steady process of just learning the business and the ins and outs of the day to day morning work, because it's a lot different than the afternoon. It's not always the wins and the losses. A lot, everything leads up to those wins through the morning.
Sure, sure. Greg, did you want Will to continue in the family business, so to speak, or were you looking for something else for him?
Well, it's a tough business and a kind of a labor of love business. He had a passion for horses early on. I didn't necessarily want him to go into it because it's grueling. It's very demanding, and I thought that he might have other interests. Even though he loved coming to the races with his friends every summer, and on the weekends they'd all pile in the car with the fathers, and we all
Mhm.
had a great time. It wasn't the path my wife and I chose for him. Didn't want him to quit school, but he did, and he came home and he discussed it with us, and we were all on the same page. So he decided to work with me, and he's a natural at it. Not because he's my son; he's a natural. You have to. It's like almost having a gift. You have to know how to work with people. He's great at the sales. He enjoys it. He has a true passion for our business. If you don't have passion for racing, you're probably in the wrong business. You have to be passionate about what you do, and you have to take some punches to the stomach. He's learning, the good, bad, and the ugly of our business.
Yeah.
It's very demanding. It's 7 days a week. You're dealing with many emotions that are involved in day to day, and the people that work for you. You're as good as your clients, and you're as good as the horses and the people that work for you. It's not a magic wand. Yeah, and you have to have managerial skills, and he's learning those. He's very aggressive, being 25.
Mhm.
Sometimes I don't want to lose a horse that quick, but I'm very proud of him, and I'm looking forward to the day that he does go out on his own. For now, I'm happy to have him, and like I said, he's a tremendous asset to our team and our barn.
You mentioned the kind of ups and downs, and it's funny because we were talking before. Your barn was scuffling a little bit there at Delaware, the first part of the meet. Now, last week, you had 4 or 5 winners on 4 days in a row. So it seems like the worm has turned a little bit. How do you guys kind of weather that with the bad streaks, and then you just kind of look forward to the good ones?
Yeah, you just keep doing what you do in preparation. It gets frustrating when I have butted some heads and some placings, and but you just turn the page, and you just rely on your tutelage and your horses and your skills, and hopefully the horses come through. We had a little slow summer. Last week was great for us with about 5 wins and our last 4 in a row. Looking forward to Crazy Mason on next Saturday at Saratoga. But your question to whether you just every day have to turn the page.
Mhm.
Whether you win by 10 or lose by 20. Next day you got to get up and start all over again. And
Right.
and those losses you have to make some changes. Surface change, distance change, and yet you have to address the losses because you can't keep just doing the same thing. So managerial skills come into play when you get out of these kind of ruts or slow starts. But everything seems to be coming together right now, and I'm really happy with the direction the barn is right now. What do you think, Will?
Yeah, I mean, when you're losing and some races you expect to run a lot better than you did, that it gets in your head a little bit that maybe there's something you have to change, training, or maybe it's feed, or you start to question a lot of things, but you just gotta stick to what you know, and it does work, and it showed last week that when things fall into place, you can win 4 in a row after losing how many in a row, so it just sticking to what believing in your your help and yourself, that just things are not going your way right now, but eventually it will. And happy to see it changed, and they got the mojo in the right spot going leading into Crazy Mason's race, which is the big one in the summer for the summer. This is the big one.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Crazy Mason going to tackle Book'em Danno. That's no mean feat there. If you can stick with that one, how's he doing? How are you guys approaching this?
He's doing super. He had a break from last year. He came back and was second at Keeneland and then third on Derby Day. Two really good races. The last race going a mile, he got bumped pretty good at the break. Pace didn't set up for him the day before. Uh, Magnitude one, it had poured rain. The track became very tight and hard. It was very speed favoring, not conducive to his style. And he was coming at the end. It just was a race where it wasn't his race. He tried, he ran hard, but it just didn't set up for him. Not making excuses. We got beat. We were thinking of some other races, but the Forego was circled on early in the year for us. It's a race we were closing third last year. Dano won it. I think we got beat less than 2 lengths. That day went 9 wide. He came charging. We were third best that day. We were coming into this race fresh. He's had some nice works. He's galloped out super strong. He's put on some weight. It looks tremendous. We expect a big effort. It's no easy task in any grade one, especially facing the champ. With all that being said, it's exciting. What you thrive for is competition. And, we're going to try and beat him on Saturday. And hopefully, we can. It's a tall order. He's a great horse. Derek and his team have done a tremendous job with him. He's the champ, and it's going to be exciting on Saturday.
You're listening to Frank Vespe and
big swing
Greg
there.
and Will
So
Sacco
is
on
he is he
Midlantic
up in
Racing
Saratoga
Today,
now, or is he
powered
going up
by the
later this
Racing
week?
Biz
He's going to go
and
up on
presented
Thursday.
by
Thursday
Delaware
after
Park
training, we'll ship
Racetrack
him up
and
on Thursday.
Casino.
Do his final little work here through the next couple days and ship on Thursday. Get him settled in, and uh, maybe jog the morning Friday up there and run on Saturday.
Do you do anything with him Saturday, or you just
No, we'll just walk him on
as talk?
Saturday. It's a good question. Some horses we do lightly train them. He's one we'll just give him a high stop bath and let him walk on Saturday and chill out and get ready for late in the afternoon.
Now he's a grade 2 winner already, and you also have Just Beat the Odds, who's a grade 3 winner. Is Just Beat the Odds the one that ran in Saudi?
Yes, yeah, he ran in Saudi. He was second in Saudi. It was a great experience, first time going abroad, and it was wonderful experience. They couldn't have treated us any better there. He ran a dynamite race from second to Imagination. It was just a wonderful experience all the way around. Came back from that race, and he was third at Delaware. Came out of that race with a little nagging injury that resurfaced. So he's back at Bruce Jackson's for another 60 days. We hope to have him back in November for another campaign. But he's been a great horse for us and one of our favorites. How about you, Will? One of your favorites?
Yeah, I mean, he's just a warrior. He's had injuries his whole career, and we've given him time and had to do surgeries, and he would come back, and we wouldn't think he would be at the top of his game, and he would come back and we'd actually be better. And when we brought him back for the Elite Power in December, it was off a 8-month layoff, and we were running him in a grade 3. And we would ask ourselves, are we asking him to do too much? It's 8-month layoff running against horses that are in form. And just his work each week were just better and better. And he's just a super horse. Every time we brought him over to the paddock, he's always given us his all. And the Saudi race was a great race. It was a long stretch, and I wish it was a little bit shorter because he ran a winning race. He got beat by a great horse that day. It was mixed emotions. It was like, wow, that was probably the best second ever, but one of the worst beats ever too. It was and just a note with Crazy Mason on Saturday, Manny Franco. I mean, the guy's having one of the best Saratoga meets, and he's tackled a few grade ones, just won the Alabama this weekend. And he's at the top of his game, and he's riding with a lot of confidence. He's played the villain on Saturday when he beat Counting Stars, who was, 1-2 favorite, or however low she was. And Manny, he's been in our corner since a bug boy at Monmouth Park. And my dad saw the talent early on and rode Manny as a bug boy. So we won the grade 2 Carter with Manny, the grade 3 Elite Power. If we can knock off the grade 1 Forego with Manny, it'd be full circle. And the way he's riding right now, I mean, he's got all we got all the confidence that, if anyone could do it, it's Manny on Saturday. He's riding great, and he fits Mason great too. I mean, he's got a lot of confidence in the horse. So I'm happy that Manny's back on Saturday, and just excited for the race because he's got a great kick. It's always exciting watching him make that kick from the 3 pole to the wire. Hopefully it's his day. He's been close a few times, just knocking on the door, and just he's just a honest horse that he's always gonna come with a late kick. So hopefully he gets up.
What's Mason like around the barn?
He's playful.
Yeah, he's full of energy. He's a kind of a high strung type of horse, all business, playful, a very kind horse to be around, but he's, high energy horse. And, he's, once he gets on the track, he's all business, but he's definitely a high energy horse.
Yeah, he hasn't given us problems, but you always kind of have to be cautious around him because he's a big horse and he likes to stay on his toes. But he's always been a gentleman, and he early on as a 2-year-old, we knew he was praised at the farm before he came to Tampa as a 2-year-old. They really liked him on the farm, and since day one, we've had a lot of praise with him too. He came in, he was this big, rambunctious 2-year-old, and it's just, and then it's funny because we had a little derby trail with him. It's Tampa as a 3-year-old, and it didn't work out. He ran in the Sam F. Davis and Tampa Bay Derby, and then we cut him back as a late 3-year-old, and then onto the 4-year-old, and it's nice to see him become the horse he is today because we believed in him, and then it's like, oh, the Derby dream's gone. Is he going to be the horse we thought he was? And he, grade 2 winner and grade 1 place multiple times. So it's nice to see him, come around into this, really nice horse because we always thought he could become this horse.
You said Manny Franco played the villain in beating Counting Stars. Actually, not from me because I had that horse that he won.
That's good pick.
Nice.
Well, so yeah, I kind of thought like I wasn't sure Counting Stars was going to want 1.25 miles. So it was such short odds. You got to play around with something.
Yes.
Yeah, no. Chad Brown told him, Manny, you got to play the villain here in this race, and ride with confidence. Ride, you got nothing to lose, and
he's at another level right now.
Yeah, I mean
he's in the zone, Manny.
Yeah, every weekend he's rattling off wins after wins, and it's the toughest colony out there, and he's holding his own more and more. I think he's in second place right now, so it's great to Manny's a guy that when we go run horses in New York, we try to get him. Can't always get him. He's in high demand, but
sure,
when you can, we got a great connection with him. So
yeah, that helps.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, he has good chemistry with Mason.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wanted to ask that: is there something like particular about Mason that Manny fits him particularly well, or?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, you have to be a little aggressive with him, not hustle, but a little aggressive early on. Then be patient with him. He's going to give you the kick, no matter what the pace is. I mean, we would like to see a pace materialize. On paper, this doesn't seem to be a great pace, but we think that, and then things change. But we'd like to see a little pace for him, a little pace to run at. You have to be a little aggressive. Be patient and then be aggressive. And Manny's a very athletic rider. He's finesse too. He has a lot of attributes, but I think he's athletic. I mean, you got to get into him and he'll respond. And the more you get into Mason, the more he responds. He's not like a finesse push button type of horse. You get into him and he's going to come rolling. He's a little tough to pop that lead sometimes. He won the card on his left lead, which was very surprising. But once you get him to pop that right lead in the stretch, he gets into a completely different gear.
Interesting.
So we're looking for a little pace to materialize on Saturday. He's going to come with his run. We just we hope it's going to be. We hope we're screaming the last 50 yards.
Right. You hope the horses in front are coming back a little bit too. Right.
Yes. But take nothing away from Danno. It's very other than Danno, it's a very competitive field with horses streaking on win streaks, and Naira's done a great job with the whole card. The Forego is a very competitive race, and they have the champ in there. I mean, everyone, listen, he's the horse to beat. He's a prolific winner, and the connections have done an outstanding job with him. It's tremendous. I'm a fan of his, not on Saturday, but I'm a Danno fan.
in general.
We've been facing Danno for a long time, since his first start at Monmouth.
We ran a Jersey bred against him.
Yeah, we finished 4th in that day.
We had a decent Jersey bred, and some blur came by us at the quarter. I think we were on the lead or second. I was like, "Who the hell was that?" It was him.
You don't see a lot of J breds like that, or
no. He's special, and they've done an outstanding job with him.
Let's talk about another horse in the barn. My Magic Wand Stakes placed was second behind Irish Maxim and the Dashing Beauty. You were telling me you got a little schedule mapped out for her. What's coming up next?
Pick that up, Will.
Yeah, we're gonna run her hopefully next Wednesday at Saratoga in a 3-level allowance, going 6 furlongs. We believe
we have Manny on her.
Yeah. Manny also has been on board for most of her wins, and we believe that 6 furlongs is kind of the cutoff for her. She's won past 6 furlongs, but she really brings her A game at 6. She's quick leaving the gate, and she has good speed to withstand the 6 furlongs, and hopefully she can become a stakes winner if all goes well at Saratoga next Wednesday. The Gallon Bloom is a grade 2, and it's also for her value as a broodmare moving forward. She's a gun runner. She's already stakes placed, which is great. And the Gallon Bloom would be a 6.5 isn't ideal, but if she could ever become grade 2 stakes place, that would be great for the Reeves. Or we will point her to the stake at Delaware, the ending, which is I believe 200,000, 6 furlongs also. And just hopefully
October.
Yeah, October, and hopefully she can become a stakes winner, because I don't know how much longer we have with her. I think she's going to go to the broodmare shed soon, which is understandable. She's been awesome. She came to us at Tampa early on as a 3-year-old, and just had a couple hiccups before she started, and then throughout her career. But she's been a really special filly, a pleasant filly to be around. Always another horse that's always given us her all.
Ultra consistent.
Yeah, she's been consistent, and hopefully we can end her career with a stakes win. That would be fitting for her, because she deserves it. She's a really talented filly.
Yeah, that was a good effort. Irish Maxim was a nice race mare, and that was a couple other nice horses. It was a short field, but a couple nice horses in that race.
Yeah, it's competitive.
Yeah, nothing wrong with a second place finish there. What's it like for you guys? You mentioned, this one's probably going off to the breeding shed, sooner than later. Is that tough as a trainer? Like you got a horse, you like a horse, and then, when they're really nice, it's out the door and off to the breeding shed?
Yeah, they're tough to replace. You hope that hopefully the 2-year-old crop can produce something that can be similar or something to look forward to. But, the horses that are ultra consistent, that have been in your barn for several years, they're tough to replace. Understandably, that's, the process of the nature of the business. But
Sure.
Great question. They're very tough to replace. So it's, not an easy pill to swallow. You hope some of the young ones can take their place and try and fill their shoes, moving forward. It's sometimes a very hard thing to do.
And that's the model of our barn also. I mean, we carry 25 to 30 horses throughout the year, and what we try to do is we try to find young horses that can become stake horses. And we've been fortunate to come across some really nice horses lately, and hopefully we can keep it going. It's not easy to replace a stake horse, and but that's what we tried to do. it's a fun process when you're at the sale, either Timonium as your yearlings or down in Ocala as 2-year-olds. It's a fun process. We got clients that they're on board with us, but each year they're trying to find that next superstar, and that's how we kind of model our barn around with bringing in the young ones, and
Developing.
hopefully developing them into nice horses.
You're listening to Frank Vespe and
So
Greg
then
and
your
Will
mix,
Sacco
and you
on
mentioned this
Midlantic
earlier, I think,
Racing
Greg,
Today,
your
powered
mix,
by the
the barn
Racing
mix
Biz
tends to be
and
a
presented
little
by
heavier on
Delaware Park
2-year-olds than
Racetrack and Casino.
maybe some other barns, and that can make you a little cooler earlier in the year.
Yeah, because we went through some baby issues, whether it be shins or maturity. In fact, some horses came into us, I believe maybe about 4 to 5 that we sent to the farm. They're over at some went to Bruce Jackson, Richard Simoff, and PA just maturity. They just weren't up to par. We gave them 60 days off. They'll be coming back in September. So yeah, it's a little top heavy, getting them ready. It just takes longer than whether I be a claiming horse or something where you run every couple of weeks.
Sure.
These horses, yeah, and we have a couple nights. We have an into mischief colt that is coming around nicely. Jack Christopher Colt was very nice. Can't had a small injury, had to give him 60 days off, came back. So it just patience with the babies. It made us a little lighter, a little bit less productive than we'd have liked to have been throughout the summer. The older horses are kicking in now. The babies are starting to kick in, get closer. In September, October, we were running about probably 10 more babies that are getting close to running. I think we have about 15 or 16. And they just get in the groove. So hopefully keep our fingers crossed. It's a good fall, leading into the winter months with the young horses.
Yeah. You do need patience with the young ones because it always seems to be something.
No, you push. Yeah. It's going to cost you more time.
I would like to talk about a filly that we won with last week that came into us, but not a 2-year-old, a Social Fortress who won at Delaware last week. She came into us about 3 weeks, a month before we left Tampa, and my dad and my family, we've been very dear friends with the Basie family. And
yeah, my father, he trained for Joe's dad in the early '60s, so we go back way. They had the champion filly Tasma in the '60s. It was Briardale Farm and Basie. So as Will was saying, she won the sorority at 2 for Jamie Ness, and we were fortunate to pick her up this spring. And follow up on Will.
Yeah, I know. And we, being dear friends with Joe, he follows our horses. We follow his horses, even when we don't have any horses training for him at the time. And, he told us about Social Fortress, and she won first time out at Delaware. Then she won, we were at Monmouth when she won the sorority, and she was really impressive there. And she ran a great effort in the Frizette, the grade 1. She was third after setting the pace.
She had a couple nagging injuries.
Yeah, and then Joe called us and said, Social's ready to come back in. I'm gonna send her to Tampa. And we were really excited to get her into the barn because, at 2 we knew how talented she was, and horses have things throughout their careers, but doesn't mean they lose that talent. Sometimes they do, but she didn't. And when she came into Tampa after a few breezes, we could tell that she's probably better than she was at 2 because she's stronger, bigger.
4-year-old filly.
Yeah, and we ran her here. We ran her at Delaware, and she was third. Just kind of got tired. She had the lead and just was kind of pressed the whole way. But she fought on, and we knew that was a good starting point. And then we entered her a few times and didn't love the spots we were in. So we decided it was a 2-month gap from her first to second start. She was a nice second, and she actually was off the pace that day and made a nice kick from the quarter pole, which was nice to see her not, be able to rate and run at horses rather than just being sent to the lead every time. And then off those 2 sprints, we thought it was time to stretch her out. And we happened to skip a condition. She's a 2X and we ran in a 3X, but we were really happy to get her to a mile. And she ran a great race for us last week. And I think we're going to be heading to the Delaware Handicap with her. She's not
nice.
Yeah, she's not 2 for 2 around two turns, and she really takes the Delaware, the track. It's the spacing for each race has been really nice. We like the pattern she's in, and she's a little tough to train. And we think keeping her home at Delaware is best for her. So if we're gonna run her back at Delaware, the last 16th of her last race, she really extended and drew away, which was nice. The mile and eight, I don't know. I don't think it would be a problem. You never know until you run them. But she loves Delaware. We're there.
Philly, I think she's a lot of potential.
Yeah, so we're gonna go for the Delaware Handicap next month and take it from there. She's super talented. It's in her. Just gotta see if the mile and eight suits her, and it's another class test. But there were some nice fillies behind her the other day. Flowers for Lisa or Flowers for Me. Jimmy Ryerson's filly. That was second. She's a really nice filly. So we'll hopefully everything goes well from now to the Delaware Handicap. We're really excited for her because she's been training super all summer and just excited to kind of see her break through and maybe build up that.
She's like has raw ability, and you just got to harness it.
Yeah, I remember when she broke her maiden by a pole at Delaware, right? And then won the sorority easily too.
Yes.
Yeah, no, and now at 4, I think she was, very headstrong filly. Still not an easy filly, but very manageable. But she goes out with the pony every day. You have to relax her. She's a horse that we do train the day of the race because she's amped up.
Okay.
We do train. She trains the morning of the race. Like I said, we have a strong ties to the Mbezi family. They've been friends of ours forever, and so it's a nice personal and working relationship with them. We have 4 for Joe and Basie now, with several more to come in. 2 years, like a lot of 2-year-olds that he gave a lot of time off. They're going to send them in the fall. So looking forward to that contingency of horses coming in. We'll just keep putting one foot forward here and keep marching on.
Yeah, no, that's good. We'll keep an eye out We'll keep an eye out for Social Fortress and the Delaware Handicap. Always a fun race. So I got to ask you guys this. I mean, there's probably no more Jersey family in racing than the Sacco family. What are you doing at Delaware Park?
Well, that's a good question. That's a good question. A couple of years ago, we just had a couple little difference of opinion at Monmouth, and so just to put it mildly, we've been on the road for 2 years. Home is still New Jersey, home is still Monmouth, and between New York and Delaware and the Midlantic, we've been on the road. Maybe one day we'll be back. I don't know. For right now, everything has worked very well for us. Fortunately, it didn't have to, but everything is worked out well. Monmouth is still one of our favorite tracks. We love Monmouth Park, and maybe one day. Maybe one day we'll be back there, and maybe not. I don't. That future's still up in the air. If we do circle back, but for right now, we're blessed that the barn is doing well. And the last couple of years, it's a little tough being on the road for 2 years, but with Will here with me, I can do it. I probably couldn't do it. I couldn't have done it without him.
So you had a string in Tampa and over the winter, and then did you have? I know, I think last year you had some horses in New York. You don't seem to have been as New Yorky this year as you were last year.
No, we just had a small contingency in New York breds, and it made sense for us to just be under one umbrella at Delaware.
Okay.
We can keep an eye on everything and not rely on an assistant up there. Everything's under one umbrella, and so we've been just doing it under the umbrella at Delaware. They're fine. They've been very, very great to horses to ship out. Haven't shipped out a lot, but they've been fine with that, which is a plus for a trainer. Very supportive, and so everything's been going well. Delaware's a beautiful track, a great setting for horses. It's a lot of dirt, not a lot of concrete. Just it's worked out very well, and hopefully all the hard work this summer pans out for us in the fall.
Yeah. Do you guys see being back at Delaware next year as well, or how do you see that playing out?
Yeah, I don't see why not. They've been very gracious there with us, and very nice barn. So they've been supportive of us. We'll continue to support them.
Mm-hmm. Are you taking a string to Tampa in the winter?
Yes, yeah. We'll take the majority of the horses. We'll go to Tampa this winter. That's a great place. This will be our fifth year. I think fifth year at Tampa. Um, just a great place to train horses. Very safe track. They have a great stakes program. They have something for everything. If you're claiming a few horses there, there's some very good claims. Very young, a lot of young horses, 2 turning 3. So it's overall, it's great group of people that run Tampa. Allison DeLuca and her crew down there. Like I said, from a training standpoint, the surface is fantastic. The living is right there. I'm a Met fan, even though you got the Yankees, the Blue Jays, and the Phillies there, but wish the Mets were there. Right? But it's a nice place to be. Also for personally to living, it's just a great area.
You're listening to Frank
You're a Mets
Vespe
fan. Why do you
and
do that to
Greg
yourself?
and Will Sacco
I'm
on
Tom Seaver,
Midlantic
Joe Namath,
Racing Today,
my
powered by the Racing Biz
Jets, Mets,
and
then
presented
Knicks.
by
Finally,
Delaware Park
Yeah,
Racetrack
wow.
diehard
and
Knicks
Casino.
fans.
Okay.
We were going crazy. It's been a long time. And being a Jets fan is pretty tough these days.
Man. Well, I'm a Rangers fan, so
Okay, that's good
I
stuff.
knew where you were as the Knicks.
Yeah.
Of course, it was 30 years ago they won the cup, and
Right.
that'll be the one that I experience in my life. But not that I'm salty or anything. All right. Well, so I'll let you guys go. But Greg, this all started. Your grandfather came from Italy, right? And
Yes. And he built Monmouth Stud, which is a small little farm in West Long Branch, like 2 miles from Monmouth Park. And my dad and my uncles all worked with polo ponies and racehorses because there were many farms in Monmouth County back then.
Sure.
So I learned from my uncles, and my dad being leading trainer at Monmouth, and at the time he had trained more, or probably still holds the record, more New Jersey futurities than anybody. He was a Jersey guy, and then he wintered at Hialeah, and he was a golfer, so I think he loved playing golf. But, other than horses, but yeah. So we had a little farm in West Long Branch, and I tell Will, my friend slept over years ago, and we're in 6th grade, and my dad's waking us up at 5 o'clock, and my friend Peter Roselli, who now has a Roselli garbage business here. It's a big business, and he said, Mr. Sacco, he said, I'm thinking pancakes are being cooked. He says, we're all going to the barn. He said, barn? What barn? All my friends went to work with us. At 5 a.m. But we all hit the track kitchen, so everything worked out pretty well. We had our pancakes there. But it was a fun way to grow up, being around. We bred horses there and broke them, and it was 5 minutes from where we lived. My grandfather lived on the farm and built the barns and the paddocks. So it was a wonderful childhood growing up. I Will missed it. He was just missed it. It had folded, but it was a lot of tradition in New Jersey, and with the Golden Triangle back then being Monmouth Park, Atlantic City, and Garden State. Meadowlands didn't come till '77. Those tracks were wonderful tracks. I miss them to this day. Atlantic City, Garden State's terrible. They were great racetracks with rich in tradition. Secretariat running at Garden State, and Ruffian, and Monmouth is still going, but so many great races were at Atlantic City. It was unbelievable state of racing. It's sad that those tracks are gone. It was part of my childhood.
What do you see as the future for racing in Jersey?
I think that Dennis Drays and his team have done the most they could do under the circumstance. I think they're striving to get the slots, and hopefully that comes to fruition. They built a beautiful Caesar's book, next to the track. They've done many things. They have a lot of obstacles with Atlantic City, being so close to its provisions. Not. But I think if they can get the slots, I think that they'll rejuvenate Jersey racing. I think they've worked tirelessly on it, and I hope it comes to fruition for them and for Monmouth Park and everybody in New Jersey. Monmouth Park is it's like one of the jewels of New Jersey, and it should always be there and always have racing there. So I look forward to Monmouth, continuing racing forever, and hopefully at the high level that it once was.
Will, would you want to get back to New Jersey, back to racing at Monmouth?
It depends. I mean, the dates, they just don't have enough of them, in my opinion.
Right.
And a state bred program, we would have about a dozen Jersey breds a year, and that was kind of, the strength of our barn. Growing up, my dad had a ton of New Jersey breds, especially for Red Oak Stable. They were breeders with the Jersey breds, and we had champions, and then they ventured out to Kentucky for the better stallions to try to breed grade one winners, which they did with Unbridled Mo and Mind Control. But going back to the Jersey breds, it just, we it got a little smaller. The market for them it's very tough.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go to these farms, which there are not many anymore around New Jersey, where you try to find them in the sales, and the market kept shrinking. And if you get a 2-year-old, and let's just say, like we talked about earlier, they buck their shins or they're just not maturing,
You
fast.
missed the meat.
You missed the meat, and now you could run them open company, which most of them can't compete. If you would run them at Delaware or Park,
Unless you're Book'em Danno.
yeah, unless you're Book'em Danno.
In which case, it's no problem at all.
Yeah. So it just so the surrounding state programs should just stay. They were, New York is year round, Pennsylvania's year round, Maryland, they not year round, but if you would like at the current Delaware Colonial meet, you do get bonuses if you do run a Maryland bred.
Yeah, no, their hands have been tied, in New Jersey, and the dates have been shrinking, and it's tough for they've done the best that they could. What they've been,
Some
the
of our
cards have been.
yeah,
50 days is tough for anyone to make a
Some
living.
of our clients got frustrated. You buy a yearling, a Jersey bred, and
You may not run them.
you may not run them against Jersey breds until they're 3. You might be forced to run them against open company, maybe a 2 or early on 3-year-old. So it felt a little bit more opportunities to buy elsewhere in the Mid Atlantic, and the New York bred program is great, it's the best around. But you're looking at the program, you see Chad Brown, you see Top Flight,
Light Line,
you see Brad Cox. I mean,
they didn't have New York breds.
These guys,
15 years
these guys
ago.
are buying them, they're breeding them.
Yeah.
So
They're taking advantage of every aspect of the program.
It's a great program, but it's not easy by any means. So we ventured to Maryland breds. I think we got to get some Delaware certified, get horses eligible for that program, because they have more stakes and
40% bonus in open races.
Yeah, so
bonus.
And Jersey do the 40% in open, which is great. We won a Jersey bred with a Jersey bred the other day. We get the 40% bonus, which is still a great thing to have. That continues in New Jersey.
Yeah. All right, Greg and Will Sacco, I'll let you guys go. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you. It's been our pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much to father and son team Greg and Will Sacco. By the way, for those of you watching this on YouTube, that would have looked like Will and Greg Sacco, not Greg and Will. Will the younger, Greg the father, and they were on the left and right as you looked at the screen. Anyway, thanks so much to them. Good stuff there. Look forward to seeing their horses this weekend and down the road a piece, including perhaps Social Fortress in the Grade 3 Delaware Handicap. Looking forward to the Delaware Handicap in late September. Also, most of all, thanks to you. Thanks for listening, watching, and we hope liking and subscribing to Midlantic Racing Today. My name's Frank Vespe. This has been Midlantic Racing Today, powered by the Racing Biz, theracingbiz.com. Today's episode, Delaware Park Today, presented by our friends at Delaware Park Racetrack and Casino. You can like and subscribe and track us down anywhere you get your podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Look for Midlantic Racing Today. Thanks so much for being a part of this week's episodes. We'll be back at you next week with 2, maybe even 3. Stay tuned. Episodes of Midlantic Racing Today. Meantime, have a great weekend, everybody. We'll catch you next time.